Reviving century sending lines and high center interference with ascension, stream location, and all levels. The particle system and line calculation setting is all about understanding what is the higher self, what is its meaning, why is it here, why do I need it, what's the purpose, what's the reason. It's all tracked to its communication setting. Now, in that communication setting, it's all levels out of communication in position because it's out of its 12 line of stargates. Now, when you get in a line calculation setting to a stream location to a system, the calculations to its higher self provides its allocation of sleep mode, which is amazing to track locations, right? 13 is a lucky day setting in track locations. So when you get in that position locations, when it's awake, it understands the chakra system. So, and the team never went through this line setting. They had to go through the whole process, starting from this location to the system. So in that track communication, this opens all levels of you through panel. And these panels interact with communication line setting, puts in higher level division, puts in light signature patterns, puts in program setting locations, interlines, interlock, interdimensional location of scepters. Now the scepter and division locations puts all calculated modified. We started with the 7 bodies of water, 5 atmosphere line setting. Now the 12 gates is now open, but now we're in a 13 line stream, which is one tether and set position of extraction to its higher self. Now in that position of all levels in set location, it's going to allocate position of time sequence, puts levels in high lines and high interference. The program to the indication system, to all track calculation, is going to put a high line stream. Now that high line stream puts a line set location to how you really understand the chakra system and how it works through colors and lights and travels and mechanisms and schedules and all calculations in the system, plateaus, platforms, applications, center calculation, decimal points, letters, numbers, shapes, symbols. It's all tracked to its communication now. It's a waking system out of sleep mode. Okay, so when you get activated, you're automatically in your 12 line, the stream location setting to 13 from yourself, which is great. Now we're expanding the calculation of Space Academy of its empire. It's just growing, growing, growing. You know, it's growing out and it's going this way. Longitude, latitude, right? So we're expanding, we're shifting, we're anomaly, line resetting, reshifting, position of probe location to its system. Okay, so today in class, we're going to go through 30,000 line feet below, lines of growth in line stream. New pyramid stream lines in high center position, all track location of 4 line generation stream location near Earth. The perception location is center position location operation. Calculation of core line setting high interference. Fluctuation time sequence and all levels of outer line interference and travel calculations. Directing lines, split the anomalies is 3 line set location setting. Planet total line rotation surface and ground lines. Open all sequence pattern correlation setting into levels of C-pod. Directing line calculations and magnetic highway information line stream and set location of the system. Drive to its calculation line interference to triangulation line, the location of its diamond core line setting. Directing line position cross stream location system. Put you in the platitude lines of center line of operation, center line interference, position location of core line, setting position of traction. Done my equation. All right, so you're there. Boom. That's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now you're there, sublocations. So in that line interference, 5-minute line track lines, high center interference, and sublocation of C-pod directing signals, travel calculations, all levels of 3 central calculation streams, direct lines of 4 and 5 line indication, directing line calculations, bring the C-pod in 3 lines and 4 lines and 5 set location of sectors, directing line position of patterns, high set location of system, travel calculation line directions, opens all line interference of center line rotation, position and traction, putting correlation setting directions. Now we go through the alignment lines. Okay, electrical lines and high center infusion, rotation lines, fibration of time sequence, and line calculation setting a stream location. Okay, done by equation. All right, so have fun. So correlate and high interference. You guys got 15-minute line settings. Okay, that's 15 miles and line rotations and 15 square sets. Directing line calculation setting puts you in a seconds lines of channel. Now that channel lines is stream location sets position at all levels. Liquid formation line set location line settings. Okay. So that's line position locations into 15,000 lines of pyro, routers and router line interference into all calculations to its setting. Hemisinks and line connection to split its anomalies and set position attractions. Center line interference of flux capacitor position of track line communication setting. Torcal field lines of reset position of travels and position of the line connections. And direct signals to a magnetic highway information line that travels out in 3 set locations. Directing lines of calculation, indirect signals, and line interference. Graph level calculation setting, direct signal to operation. Done by equation. All right, so have fun. So you got a 50-minute line stream, which is 50 million lines of calculation streamlines and application line settings. Directing lines at 30,000 feet below to the growth in line rotation, same position track lines. Directing lines of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, correlation settings in 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of 5, 5 lines of 6 position. All right, so the growth theme's got the signal, modification line settings, direct communication setting, direct signal, position location of platforms, correlate line division location setting, interference, travel calculation of sun, modification line cycle, assign position to its moon, set position attraction. Okay, done by equation. So inline rotations, there's the growth theme. You're here line rotations, right? You're 30,000 feet below. Have fun. All right, in that line settings, we open all signals. Now I'm going to keep that on a winning pattern. Recognition of time sequence puts position locations of programs. Now the line interference has position location of track lines of underground line streams, directing line position location of settings. Okay. Correlations of two lines set location lines of two diamond cores, or type calculations, and position attractions, right? So the growth themes are here in line position to its settings. Okay, two lines of track lines, creating uneven rotations, and interference, I like calculation settings. Okay, so in that track communication setting directions. Okay. Now in that line interference, you guys are here and you're gonna drop. Okay, you're gonna drop. There you are. Okay. So your simplification opens all settings and track communications. This changes line communication setting and direct signal. This puts a position location line interference. The breathing mechanism line in position near gills sets tractions of communication. Okay, have fun. So we set a position of 3 line settings and position of 4. The next D1000 comes in at platitude line rotation of center, waiting on signal to its modification line setting locations. All right. All right. So when that line interference is on setting line condition I system, covering the line rotation surface and all track to its communication of surface location. Okay. So it's in center line, right? So now it's in a center communication of a cloud that nobody can see in track communications. All right. Have fun. All right. We're going to go to that winning signal and that line center position of track communication surface. Now, directing lines of commanding systems and track communications, all of understand the formulas, equation, and reset programs. Now, the correlation line direct settings. Now, line calculation setting and line of rotation of 2 lines and center and position locations. You guys are here, right? Now, in that line interference, this is where we go into the pyramid stream locations. Now, there's the center lines of timeline, the high stream location setting and direct signal to its operation surface. Now, that line calculation setting sets position of the platforms, underground line sequence, and 3 set location of setting locations. Now, position of track lines comes into 4 lines of measure. That 4 lines is communication setting directions, 3 lines of setting, and 6 position of programs, and line calculation setting an 8 line rotation surface and triangulation. Direct lines of panels, high position of track lines, and all levels of operation line position. Okay. Now, it's all about understanding how to surface the correlation center to the core lines and the location setting, split the anomalies and line rotation to its earth and set location. Direct line calculation of its core sets position of track lines of yin and yang, process position line connections, opens up the signals, XT1000 comes in plateau, and position of triangulation surface. Directs panels, line interference, and 3 set location of measure and line rotation. Now, in that position of track lines, we set the line communication to a new flywheel and a holographic line calculations to an atom line surface and traction. Done by equation. It's all set up. All right, so simplifying line calculation laser lines, we change the direct locations on levels of patterns. Longitude, latitude, and split lines of anomaly at 3 line communication setting to a diamond core reshift position of program. Program sets position location of line setting, opens all positional platforms, and a new diamond core and a line rotation surface and track calculation. Okay, done by equation. Okay, setting anomalies as switch line centers is really understand how the platitude line position of track lines, putting all levels of correlation setting directions. Now, in that set line calculation setting and line interference, we set up a fuming line rotation surface. Platitude line stream opens all line position locations of programs and reline calculation setting and position of traction. Okay, done by equation. So it sets lines at correlation setting. It's a vacuum cleaner in line rotations and directions. Okay. Okay. Now, how are we all doing in these applications? try to understand what's going on in lines. Okay, guys? So, yes, in line conditions are relay position of programs at intersection position of travel lines. Okay. Okay, Tina, position location, Gypsy, Heather, line interference, all of the Brittany. Brittany, how you doing? Prismor, all of the battle position location line systems, all of the principal Valera, line condition streamlines. So in that line position locations, guys, Geneva, really understand, Chris, really understand how to set these things up through provision locations, right? The growth themes are working on the ground line center high position trunk lines. So you set on the new plateaus and position location high setting in all direct location to a system. Okay, through the underground line setting. Okay. So once you understand how it sets up provision location line systems, you understand the 30,000 line feet below line rotation to its growth in line settings. So the ground lines are shifting lines and high center interference. Okay. Setting waving patterns and line set location system and position location of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 position of panels. The panel lines, gravel lines, high line interference, electrical line calculation setting directions. That opens up lines of circle lines, send position of 2 lacing lines of communications of directions. Now, in that direct line centers, we open up the signal line to the sun. The sun protects the position location of track lines and high line rotation to set position. Okay? Now, once we get in that line, we go with the left cross line stream into an XT1000. Okay? Setting track lines and center positions to all setting position to its operation of ground setting. Calculation all levels of pi of indication. Right? There's the pi. Center direct line calculation setting is longitude and latitude and line position location across line streams of arrow line position of traction. Now, in that direct line calculation setting, we set up an open line rotation and travel calculation of cluster in the line connection setting to a flywheel to a rotation surface to earth line ground lines, high calculation stream location, holographic line setting, and a circle line communication setting and rotation line interference in position location to a cocoon that opens all signal line interference and track communication. Okay, done by equation. Amazing what we're doing through set lines and high center interference, how it sets specification in your settings, all through port correlation setting. Fragmentation, streamlines, and set lines and how high lines. So I got 3 track calculation setting. All right. So correlate high line into position location. You ever see dome? It's like a spice worm, right? But it's an optical line center location of tentacle line interference. It's the travel position location line setting directions that goes into the ground setting. So we opened up the signals and position locations and travels lines in line rotation in position location of system. In line setting and high line rotation, surface and triangulation. Okay? Goes in, right? So as it goes in line setting, I know you guys are blown away. Position of track lines as it surfaces down and it's going line rotation, in that case, circle location setting. This is what it's doing. Electrical lines, ocular line rotation, and then surface, right? So it's setting up signals in both line rotation centers and both set locations, setting direct signal to new line rotation surface into triangulation and reset position of all levels of triangulation line calculation, new pyramid line rotation, setting direct signal to all calculation of film strip line stream location of setting. Done by equation. Okay? Now, this surface is out. We go through platform line setting and direct signal to 48 window graph line screen. That screen line sets position to a dimensional door. That door lines its portal stream locations to a round line set lines and travel calculation setting. Now, in that set location, the dimensional door slides through position of travel lines, directing lines to 3 set location of settings, 3 lines in provision, 6 lines in division, 7 lines in 8, and 8 lines in 10, and 10 line center interference in position of 12 signals as that position travels. Okay? Done by equation. Okay. Waving patterns are balancing. Yeah. Well, knowing exactly how to set these things up through provision, guys, you have to really understand how it sets up all track communications to your settings through the underground line wave line patterns, indirect signals to panel communication through its directions. Okay? How it's all set up. So we get in that line interference. The direct location is a half pipe. Now the oracle line interference into the tentacle streamlines sets position location of patterns, electrical streamlines. Directing lines of data line, port line, stream location, high center interference, and direct signal to all platitude line division location that goes into the center lines of position location of 0 gravity in set position. Okay, done by equation. So it circle lines a correlation setting. And it comes out of traction, Inline setting. A circle line rotation surface comes into the sun, a position of track line that protects all lines of rotation surface and a new triangulation resurface. Okay? So it's a lot going on through all calculation, right? It's all working through the ground lines of 30,000 feet below. Okay. In positions, yeah. But it's very powerful how we come in this line setting. Okay, so in that position, the location of track lines, we come in this line signal. Okay. Now in that line interference in track lines, as it comes out, it's coming out now, right? The surface line triangulation high interference, indirect locations, the torque field line, the streamlines, the line and the line rotations sets up a new magnetic line position of programming, and the earth line surface position track lines a center position of operation. Okay. Done by equation. Okay, it's all set up. Magnetic fields, pulsars, inner line rotations. So in that line connections, done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Crossing lines at two line string locations, all right? So in that position location, line signature patterns, one line division, right? Now we go to correlation lines of diamond core lines, split position anomalies. Calculation lines of flux path position track lines, directing signal to location settings. Open all position locations of patterns and face recognition. Face recognition. Transformers. Okay? Now, in that position line setting, you guys are coordinating in a high position of travels now. You're going into 144 line rotation. Okay? Now, in that direct line centers, we're going to open up all patterns, and that patterns line calculates setting and position locations to its setting. Okay? Opens up more line communications. 2 XC1000s waiting on signal in position of traction. All right? 3 lines high center interference and set position. Travel calculation line interference and travel line settings. Travel calculation telepathy. One to another line rotation surface. Now the triangulation reset sets up programs. Now the center communication opens up all levels of patterns. The center lines its division location to a system that puts you in a 144 crystal line and line calculation setting to its convergent location of system of operation. Okay? Done by equation. All right. All right. So splitting anomalies in a track line center is a 3-line waving pattern. The XC1000 zips out in line rotations to its moon. Okay. So the moon comes in tractions, waiting on signal. Okay. Comes in modification line centers, back in this track locations. Okay. So remember, I'm adding frames. Okay. So you're never finishing anything. You're always going forward. Never going back. So I'm just directing and redirecting patterns. So in that line calculation setting, as it comes out line rotations, we're sending the core line generation streamlines and another line rotations. Cluster line change position of tractions, all lines of balance position to all levels of stargates, star panels, star divisions, and line calculation setting and operation. Okay, done by equation. It's all set up. All right, so that's traveling out. 4 to C communication. Done setting. 2 track lines, 1 error line interference, a 2 position location line system, 2 line interference, and 0 line position track communication to operation surface. Now, in direct signal, pattern line rotations, half pipe position travels, 2 panels, 6 position of provision, location of travel settings, and 12 line signatures of location. Now, that line rotation interference, we put position location, sun travels here, center direct line centers, high position location in all levels of measure correlation. Direct and line calculation. Moon sets position another half line rotation, sending direct signals, and the operate line send location in position of moon lines and surface position and travel calculation of travels and direct signal. See that flash? Signify calculation streamline and set position. Operation surface correction of time sequence open all patterns into new Earth perception setting and direct signals, a panel correlation setting, and a force line stream location of system, and a flywheel direction of time sequence, and an arrow line rotation surface, and triangulation reset position of programs, and all position line calculation setting, and direct signal to modification line interference of holographic line position location of system. Done by equation. Woo! All right, it's done. Boom. Okay, so that's flying out through provision location of sectors. You guys having fun yet? All right. 4 to 2 streamlines got 1 bracket, 1 hanger. Okay, remember, you guys have to really understand your structure, location, and schematics. Zero lines, high center interference. Zero position, location, track lines, high position settings. Half pipe set location travel lines. Redirect signals. Moon comes in, line interference, and travel calculations. In position locations, back into bracket, line interference. Travel line signifies high calculation setting, position location to its pod. Pod records a time sequence. Flywheel records of timelines. XT1000. XT1000's travels lines and three line positions of vectors. Cross lines of high calculation string location of setting. Directing lines of set lines have travel communication directions. Center line interference. Sun comes in position to track lines. Set up a black hole, line rotation, surface position, track communications, opens up signals, line connection, high center interference, and a medical ball stream location of setting and direction. Okay, done by equation. All right. Waiting on signals of panels and direct signal is really understand how to modify the high set location of travel settings. So in that position location, it's really understand how to build the structure of its design. Center line calculations and line centers are the T-force line stream, directing line positions of patterns. High calculations, zero lines of operations surface, in triangulation of reset position of programs, and a circular line calculation setting and direct signal to an atom line surface and set location. Now, in that position, the ball line center travels line conditions atom surfaces line perception, E calculations of past, present, and its future line adaptation. Perceptions of form lines of presence, present lines of past, direct line centers a center of position location of yin and yang, process lines of six position of programs, directing line position location of operation line settings, holographic stream location setting direct signal to another earth line rotation surface and triangulation line position location operation line setting and direct location system and travel calculation setting and direction. Okay, done by equation. Look how powerful that is. All space line division setup locations. Torque fields, direction of time sequence, coordinators aligning a line rotation positions of platforms of four line rotation surface and ground lines operation. Done by equation, right? It's two central line calculations, 30,000 feet below. Now, the Earth core line center sets a time reactor. That division location to a hemisync sets position of programs. Setting lines, travels out, line interference, cross line stream, 45-degree angle, setting track line communications. Center lines of one, position of two, three line centers and four lines separatation system. 5 lines, 6 crosses string, direct centers of 2 panels, crisscross lines. 45 division lines opens all signals and panels, and line calculates setting direct signal to the sun position operation. Setting line calculates setting line position location of Earth line rotation to all levels of space economy and set location of travels. Directing line calculation setting, position of travel lines, and line rotation position location, XT1000 on the ground line surface and position of traction. In that direct signal, crosses stream, crosses stream, crosses stream. Puts position of the moon, correlates the high center interference, position of travel line, sets direct signal and line communication setting to another seed pod of command center, a high position location of travel sets. Directing line position location operation. Done by equation. All right. Signify, routers and routers, line settings, high position of travel lines, directing signals. Now it's going to get complicated with the structure of designs now, guys. We have to really understand how to pick up speed. Center communication lines of torical fields, center line rotation surface, triangulation line, position location settings, all levels of set position. Okay. So the correlating line interference, bracket line calculation setting, but TV box line stream. 3 patterns in line rotation. Okay. Directing line calculation setting. Now, this is where the sun comes into another line rotation string location and the line center location of teleportation of string locations. See that? Look how powerful that is. You set the position of the center of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. You get a torical field line connection of a capsule and line rotation. Center direct centers of 3 line signals, high calculation to its UFO, and set position travels. Directing line calculations brings in the moon, line rotation surface, and triangulation II surface. Now, the calculation high centers puts position of ground lines, rotates its surface location high in the line rotations, surfaces out in triangulation to reset position of programs. Directing lines and modification line settings opens all calculation setting to another UFO line position of travel. Done by equation. All right. So that's going to travel out to line signal and high rotation surface. Beacon lights, line calculation setting satellites at stream locations. Position of track communications, all levels, signify calculation of 3 lines and waving patterns. Now, in direct signals, all can modify how you set up the circle line calculation setting to all levels of Stargate panel line rotation surface and triangulation reset position of programs and line connections. Setting lines of 12 ways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in division. Set lines of track lines and half pipe line rotations of pi. Directing lines of split lines anomalies and three set location of travels. Directing correlation settings and direct line calculation setting, direct signal, position, location, operation, surface, and location system. Travel setting, line interference, sets lines of routers and routers, position location of capsules and line interference, travels line set location line system of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 operation. Three triangulation of three sets, position of programs, set position of 4, 7 in center, line calculations of levels of 12, 12 lines, 1 indicate line interference, so higher self position of travel. Done by equation. All right. So that's going to travel out. Waving lines, streamlines, and set position of travel calculations. Now, in line calculations, we come into the torical field lines, swirl lines, set lines, correlation, galaxy line, shift line, communication. Now, directing line signals and high line rotation surface, we triangulate line interference and direct signal to position location operation line setting, all calculation to ground surface. This opens all position location splits and anomalies, line and line rotation, and galaxy line shift, position location, two travels, and position of travel. Position locations, two tunnels, line interference and travel calculation, position of strings, directing line correlates and setting indirect signal to position location, earth line, center line, communications of yin and yang, and process calculation. Done by equation. All right. So, yeah, there's a lot of calculation of clearing in line rotations, right? So that's done. That's going to travel out. Everything that travels line signals goes back in provision location with clock lines. Clock line change lines. Now you have 24 ground lines. You guys are working with 144 provision location of center now. Okay. But you're in a 24 ground setting in diamond core line resistor. Now that position location of two platforms and set location of space in between. Sets position of H line setting and track communication to its directions. All levels of set location line settings. Center position levels opens all signals and line communication to your setting to its operation. Okay. Setting direct signals, line calculation 6 line, moon comes in, track communication of travel lines, sets up an S line, line center, line and rotation surface, triangulation, reset, position of programs, directing lines, modification line setting, all position to its travel and set position to its operation. Okay, done by equation. So Heather, all the data codes released cleared for clear communication in space. Well, that's exactly what we're doing with the position location to your settings, guys. Okay, so that travels out. Now line signature 1 lines, 2 bracket communication of 0, bracket location of 0 position of operation. All right. Center position of triangulation of line calculation. So Gypsy, this is what I'm talking about with Enoch. Position location of 3 triangulation line sets at the bottom. Okay. Center correlation setting direct signal position location of its diamond core. Direct lines cross stream, line interference, half pipe position of travel calculations, full cycle communication of clock lines, directing lines. So next T1000 comes here, X2000 comes here, line rotation, center position of travels. Directing line calculation setting, center position operation, opens all communication setting and direct signal to all calculation line interference, set a spherical sphere, a torical field line rotations, and a diamond core line high calculation, high position of travels, and direct signal to operation. Okay. So the indicators of 3 line settings, travel position locations. You got a T line rotation at the bottom, right? Circles, lines, and communication, and levels of the ground line rotation surface. Now in direct line centers, take the triangulation to reset the position of 3 lines of programs. Direct lines of graph, setting graph line streams, and direct location across and signals position operation. That's how it becomes a bridge. Okay, see the bridge? See how it goes through the line center? Isn't that amazing? So the horizon signal comes into the platform, goes right to the 0 platform communication setting directions, guys. So it travels lines of signal lines. See that? See how it travels position out right through the ground lines, location of graphs, location of screens. Directing line signals, crosses lines, basic line center, space in between, the center communication of platforms, and line calculation XT1000s to plateau line interference, a crisscross location of settings. It's that position to its operation. Okay? But that's how it becomes a holographic road line setting stream locations. You guys have to go beyond the line setting, try to see its provision. How you see right through a holographic screen as that position to a diamond core or a resistor or a channel line or operation surface locations and vortitude stream locations of platforms and set position travel lines and directions. Okay? Very powerful with the connection setting. Okay, that's travels out. Gone, but still there. All right. Yeah, flow calculation lines. So we got a 0 line rotation, center position track lines, and center line interference of 3 triangulation resets. Okay, Jips? Flux capacitor line channel position operation. Okay. Directing lines of panels, location centers. Okay. X marks the spot and solar direct signal at set location. Okay. Remember, you got to understand how to go through the line setting, So once you go through platforms and direct signal to 2 position location of sets. Brings back down line rotations in 6 lines of center and plateaus and correlates in setting to its position location of its dome on set location. Now, in that line calculation setting, we change the triangulation of 6 and 3 set lines of zeros, platitude line centers, and platitude line rotation surface and ground lines across circle location. That disappeared. It went too fast. Okay. So we all have to understand how all this works now. Right? Fly mechanism settings and understand how to use communication on platforms. Directing the lines of correlation setting and retract location of division sets position location of panels through all levels of operation surface. 6 communication line streams, directing line centers of panels and line communication setting in line interference of travel communication. Okay? So in that line calculation setting, you get out of the equation. Here is the avatar getting out of the seat pod line rotation surface. Travels lines on the brick line rotation setting of the ground lines. Crosses signal, jump scars, crosses over. Sending direct signals, goes back in a teleportation unit, goes indirect signal to an operation seat pod, directing line calculation string locations in line calculation interception lines of interlock location. See the teleportation unit? See how the surface is location setting directions? Yeah, it's an occultation sphere. Very good. Okay. All right, so it's really interesting where the avatar can cross signals. So it can go from one plateau, looks like ET, ET phone home. So what do? You add the neckline and you got ET. Ooh-ah. Okay, there's always intelligence in all formation line streams. Okay, so we're going to keep that on our waiting signal because we need that for tomorrow line stream. We go back in this line rotation. Now, directing lines of panels, the set position locations opens levels. Now, when you open up a level line streamline, it sets a course line direct signal in levels of operation. Now, in that calculation settings, we set up waveline cycles, directing lines of panels and 3 set location of travels. Cross line setting high interference of 12 line rotations and in position to its road and set location of travel settings. And again, line position location, the avatar walks the signal in line interference and set location of setting. Okay, crosses over, right? Gets in another teleportation unit and line rotation surface and triangulation. Okay, down by equation. Bracing capillars measure sequence of equinox. Yes. So we can travel out that line interference. But I want you to understand what you guys are going through when you go through those dimensional doors. Every time you go through a dimensional door, your line signaling in position to a setting. Okay, you go from here to here. Now, understanding from there to there is to just go here. Triangulation in 3 sets. So you don't have to go like this. You just go here because you've already done the triangulation reset. So sets up 3 programs, 3 modifications, and 3 cyclones, 3 panels and 2 operations. Directing lines at 3 lines, 7 line rotation surface and triangulation. Okay. Now, in that direct line centers, we come in all line interference. Okay, we change direct signals in the plateau communication setting in direct signal to its operation. Okay, now this surface is a line setting. This is where it comes into all calculations in your systems. Travels out in 3 line sectors and high rotation surface and triangulation. Sets positions of pi of its indication. Okay, very powerful stuff. All right. So once you get in modification lines, the avatar flies out. Remember, this is a lot more powerful line streams because your convergence of your settings now is in 144 of track location. Right? So you really have to understand all levels of setting now because you're going to see more through pi. Pi positions here, 15 line wave, 30 line wave. It's all in this line rotation and position of track lines. 50 million line centers and track communications from one direction to the next. Travels calculation, jump scars into 3 line sets. Change geometric patterns, sets position locations, opens up another lines and Merkaba in line interference and travel calculation, jumps in, sets lines, sits downs on the high interference, travels through, set position to its operation center in its operation set location to its new teleportation unit. Okay, in set location. All right. So growth ends and scarabs are carrying codes to connect a new setup to crystal grid and crop circles for each pyramid. Yeah. All right. So you guys are going to line signals. I'm taking out of the equation lines of 15-minute line stars. Stars, CNAs, high positions, and levels of travel position of travel lines, 2-point systems, travelation diamond cores, and 1 UFO line rotation surface. Take them out of the equation and the ground lines, put them out of line rotation to a new port of communication. Done. You guys are out. Center line rotation surface in position location of portal lines and direct signal to its operation. Okay, done by equation. So it's amazing how we set these things up. It's incredible how we go through force line settings of stream locations. Get used to understanding how to use spherical spheres in your structures of your drawings and flowing direction of time sequence in all direct signal to its location to its setting. Okay, so your fingers move. Your fingers are indicators. Okay, each line signature is an energy stream. Okay, that's how Alara is in position of traction. So she understands how to recognize each platform that indicates line set locations. Each one line signature has zeros, 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 zeros. Right? You start with the zeros, and plateau puts grids and line interference into a road graph location setting in position location to a system to a setting. So set location in all levels. Film strips of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 locations. That's how it becomes a hologram through zero line setting. But that's one stream. Now, if you're going to indicate line interference, you're going to add 1 in position. You're coming into an electrical fence because you're going higher. So you start with the 0. 0 is the ground. 0 is the ground of the pyramid. The rotation surface is the crab circle. So center position location, height interference, and try to calculate the line in position. 1 is the grounds. 2 is security, which is a level line position. Anything above that is the Fibonacci, a line communication of travel position. Multi-pass. So that's what you're doing is you're creating lines of grids into lines of 1 into electrical fence, into 2 security, which is level lines of Pluto, and 3 is the indication which you create the Fibonacci, where the avatar comes out of position, location, and track lines in its operation surface in all position. Make it pass. Okay? Everybody's going, whoa! Where did that come from? See? You see how that works? 0. Crop circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 crop circles of ground lines. Then you set up the grids of 1. 1 is what? Electrical fence that protects the grounds of the road and set position on both side locations. Both sides. But I'm just showing you one division. 2 is the security of line signal that sets security perimeters around rotation. 3 is the Fibonacci that opens up the portal so the avatar can travel through the grids lines or walk the surface, line position, location, track lines in all position to its operation. Okay, now you understand the process of your chakras and how to use them, all through graph lines of holographic location setting. Okay, so in revision, now try to stand the grid line. See, I don't have to do the zeros and lines because I know exactly what I'm doing with the 3 set location. This is 0, 0, 0. Easy. 3 line indicators going this way in set locations. Cross and streams. Sun comes in, protects line calculation, set it to its location. Okay. Open signal. Sun comes in again, sets line signals, and wants to go around the full circle rotation surface. Now, in that direct line center interference, opens up signals. This is the UFO line rotation surface in the triangulation reset. Sets position location of ground lines, opens all signals to another platform and another crystal location system of traction. Centers out in line rotation, sends position location and travels out in set location of setting. Multi-pass. Okay? Yeah, but see, that's exactly what it is, Gypsy. You just really, I know it's a lot to take in, reality. Yeah, I know, you're learning, right? So I'm just showing you how you guys have to use your finger lines because your fingers do all the work. They're intelligence on their own. It's 4 graph lines of baby, child, teenager, adult. And every time you're drawing, using 4 indicators of time sequence of clock lines in each line communications. Each finger is a position of track line. 1 million line rotations, that's 1 million light years away. This is 2 million light years, 3 years, and 4 years. Set position of track lines, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 is the line center location of its indication, which is hard convergence. The moon is the optical line center location of your settings. 6 is position location of your sun. The indication of the 3 lines, 2 position location of 1 and 2 lines of 3, and position of 4, position of 5, back and track lines at high position of code signal into barcode line rotation, interference line channels, and operation surface and track location. So in that position to its operation line setting, it's true to understand how to use your finger point lines of indicators, okay, through lace and line communications, setting line calculations, circulation, interference, and track communication. Okay, setting line calculation of the dome, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, all right? Set position location of laser lines and recognition of time sequence and crop circle location, right? It's easy, right? You see it more, right? So I like to complicate things because it gets line center. So in that line interference, if it wants to take out of the equation lines of 3 track locations, right? Remember, 1 + 1 = 3, right? So remember, when you're using grids and you go into higher line setting of 1, that's creating the electrical fence. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Sets position location to the system, all 3 track locations, okay? In that directions. See, sets up electrical fence. Now in that line interference and set location line interference, you set up another energy dome that crosses the stream location setting. It opens all panels of line connection setting in your 12 set location of system. So in that line connection, it becomes a location grid. See location grid, platitudes is rotation surface. Location grid, right? Avatars here. You guys have to learn how to travel line signals, position travels. Avatars here, it's going through location grid. So you need the location grid. See, it's a wall sector line calculation settings of vectors across streams. Now, in that line interference, you come in this provision, very simple track location, right? So the avatar goes to the location grid, right? Travels through, right? But it has to understand the indication of 12 signature panels, line interference, and set positional levels. So when it travels line calculation setting, you automatically come into the dimensional door of set location. Set and position locations goes through, waiting on signal, 2 panels operation, but there's a planet on the other side location. Okay, so try to understand how this all works. The provisional location opens all signals, 2 panels, line center. Here's the planet. Here's the planet line rotation, right? So in that line calculation setting, comes out of the location grid and set position of travels, right? So in that direct line center, it's on waiting signal, right, to identify the system. Platitude line interference, there's 2 XT1000s on standby. They don't know who you are from Adam. Get it? Adam. So they signify calculation setting, beacon lights correlates in setting directions, waiting on position, right? So once you identify your system, they scan your settings. So when they scan your setting, high position comes in 2 track locations, high position all levels. Now in that line rotation interference, once you identify your system and they know who you are through indication of your frequencies, you can travel through the set locations. But then that line interference, they open up the bridge and position locations so you can travel in position location to its setting, crossing the line calculation setting to the grid line and position location, crossing over and line calculation to its platform and travel out to its location. Okay? Hooah. Very powerful what you guys are coming into line calculations too. Why you have to understand what string theory is. Okay? And how it works in all calculation higher self. I said a very powerful video, how our higher self goes through the setting location system. But you have to understand the indication to your identifications if you want to get understanding how to get to the next location. Right? Very powerful stuff, but you have to understand how to set up the holographic location of its walkway. So, and the fingers do that on its own, right? So everything that you see and everything that you do is all levels of hologram. If I'm going through a planet line rotation like this, it's all about understanding how to cross through. Okay? Crossing through, guys. Crossing through, guys. Okay? Crossing through. Okay? That's what it is. Try to imagine to get in that setting. Okay? This doesn't work because there's no plateau of force. This doesn't work in position location of a system in track calculations. It's too flat. It's got to be on an angle to travel through, right? Because it sets up its platform and it sets up its door to go through. Okay, so always on a 45-degree angle line stream. Setting position location line setting is the levels of a clock line rotation surface and triangulation line position location of its operation surface. Now, in direct line center interference, your direct signals cross the stream location, right? Sets up the platform, sets up the dimensional door. Okay, so here's the avatar again. Show you again, one more time, line positions. Travels lines, scans lines, center position operation. Set position locations, all levels, setting track communication to its settings. Opens up its pi, opens up its pi, opens up its pi, opens up its pi. Okay? Now in that pi comes line centers, line interference of an atom-aligned molecular structure communication setting, direct signal to its operation surface. Now, the flywheel records of time sequence comes in line centers of 3 panels of direct signal. The operational line center line condition opens up its dimensional door to another line rotation surface and the triangulation line calculation setting to a portal communication. Direct line calculation traveling through all calculation. Done my equation. Okay? Boring banshees from Captain holding protective shields. So we all understand how to travel now through the location grids. Okay? So it's really interesting when you look at all these line signatures and all line rotation surface, all position location and hologram settings. Okay? How you set these things up. So we got a lot of work to do because if that line's in high center interference, if theta line rotation surface needs the track location of box line, anything line rotation, see, you travel through it, right? You travel through it. Okay, you don't do this. That doesn't work. Okay, because your indication you're walking, right? So you can't do this. That doesn't make any sense. It's got to be in the ground level so it can walk the surface locations. Okay? So it can get on the platform. You can't get on a platform like that. That doesn't make any sense. And the XT1000s are going to say, what's going on here? So getting that location grid line, I really want to focus on that location because that's what you guys are coming into. Here's the dimensional door, and then you go through, right? So in that set location, you set up the platforms and correlates and sending direct signal. You have to figure out how to do that because I have to tell you exactly that you are setting up platforms of communication, your 144 grid line, setting a high interference line condition, high system, and a 140,000 line stream in a set location. Okay? So you're always going through a 45 line stream and direct location to its planet settings of sublocations. Okay? All right. Yeah, I know, Lara. See, now you understand more levels of travel. And now you understand how to travel better, especially when you're identified through 2 panels and a planet line rotation, right? This is a planet right here. That's a planet. So it's that location, XT1000s come by. They don't know who you are, right? And you're here in line interference and you want to go through, right? Well, first off, you have to understand after you come out of the location grid setting and position of track lines, you have to understand the platform and communication of the dimensional door. You can't go past that door until you identify yourself. So they scan you right away, crossing signals and high center interference, protecting their system locations. So in that line calculation setting, once you identify, you go through the dimensional door, and then you travel through the set position location to its platform of communication to its setting to its operation surface. Okay? All through location. See what I mean? That's true to understand. The more levels that you see, because you're at 144 now, and the crystal lines and correlation setting, direct signal, and you can see over your thoughts are triangulating. It's forcing the line setting location in your system that's open in all calculations, your settings to all line communication. Okay? It's how to set the tone, right? Really understand position locations. So planets always have tractor beams, okay, open to your position locations, open to you. Okay? They open up to you in location setting directions. Okay? But it's got to be in a plateau line communication of its direction. It's got to be in correlation of its direct setting to its set position of operation. Okay? So crossing lines in set locations, crossing through dimensional doors, crossing through line calculation setting and spherical sphere lines, the correlation setting of seed pods or direct signal to its operation surface locations. Okay? Truly understand how this is all set up now. That's how the avatar basically has to understand the 24, 48, 72, and the 144 crystal grid. It needs a grid, right? So it can walk across and then travel through the dimensional door. And then go through in position to come into a humongous command center of a seed pod set location. Okay? So that's just traveling line settings. You're coming in all position to your system, but you really have to understand how to travel through these things, through your GODs of set locations. Okay? How everything is set up for you in a holographic setting, a set location. All right? So, how's everybody doing so far? Yeah, but see, don't worry about it, reality. You know, the thing is that don't focus on what you can't see. Focus where you are, which is the now. Don't focus on the future. Don't focus on the past. Don't focus on the center. Just focus on what you're doing, which is the seconds, minutes, and the hours. Your seconds on channel, minutes on program, and hours on clocking. That's it. Okay. So I want you to understand how to understand the platforms that are going through a dimensional line of a planet line center in high position to its track location. Very simple, very easy to do. And on the other side is its dimensional door. Okay, crossing through. Platform, crossing through. Door. Okay, that's how you travel. That's how you travel. All right. So every time it goes through a dimensional door, the avatar is creating a new design of its GOD, creating line position, location, line center interference, all set location setting, indirect signal to its position, location, of setting, line interference, new travel cover relay setting, direct signal, operation service location of a system, all calculations modified, and line interference, lights the communication setting, direct signal to its operation line setting, location system, to its teleportation unit and set location. Okay. See? Everything is a teleportation unit created from GOD and set location travel. Okay? So you go through the door, go through the platform, you create another anomaly, you create another ship. You travel from one ship to another ship to another ship to another ship. So you're going higher, 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 higher. And each time you go through line calculating setting, you're going through all position setting locations to different planets. But to get there, you have to identify yourself. I told you what goes on with the location grid, how a higher self goes through. Once it goes through, it automatically goes through detection, which is a beacon light that sets off communications. And that's how the XD1000s come in right away. Because they're protecting their planet. They're protecting their planet. Okay? So this is how it all works. How the avatar really travels in space and time. Okay? We got a lot of work to do in set location. All right, so congrats to team lines and set position track lines. You guys are now 144 converged location setting, direct signal to all levels of brain convergence. All right? All right. Have a fun day. See you guys on live. Adios.